I remember you eating some of the treats
all
also.
the time.
And we had that on video. Shivam's on the other side, and I think Shivam also had that on video.
If you're hungry, you could also be obsessive, and aggressive.
Your favorite corporate gali?
Welcome to episode 2 of Off The Brandwagon. I'm Rehan Dadachandji. This is my co-host Karthik Khanna. Karthik, how are you doing?
All great. How are you doing, Rehan?
All well. Excited for today?
Super excited.
Awesome. We have a very special guest today. We have Mohit Lalvani on the show. And Mohit is the managing director of Mascot Spin Control. And interestingly, where most of you may have seen him as part of the entire Captain Zack journey. And Captain Zack then got acquired by Wiggles. We'll hear more about that story hopefully a little later, Mohit. But yeah. Mohit is also an angel investor, a pet lover, and always exploring what the next adventure is.
So Mohit, why don't you tell us a little bit about Captain Zack for those that might not know and could have been living under a rock and they don't know what Captain Zack is, so give them like a quick 2-line intro on Captain Zack. But more importantly, how did the idea come about? How did the brand get created?
So Captain Zack, as you probably would guess, is someone's captain and someone's called Zack, right? So Zack was my Labrador. He passed away at the age of 11, 3 years ago. So he's the inspiration behind this brand, but before a product becomes a brand, it's a product, right? So I spent my 30 years in the hair and skin industry of humans, beauty care industry. I've made brands like Devon, Setwet, Fair and Handsome, and I've given those ideas and concepts, worked with founders. So I just thought to myself that why not I spend some time doing the same hair and skin for pets, right? Because people don't realize that we only look at a dog and say he's got hair or he's got a coat.
Yeah.
But actually deep down there's a skin as well. And skin is very harmful. 90% of the times you take your pet to a vet is because of a skin issue and topical issue and not something else. So I identified Zack was itching a lot.
Yeah.
And he was at the age of 6. And I figured that he needs to have the right grooming or right hygiene. So with my expertise and nuances between animals and humans, I figured out what the differences are. And I created a product for Zack, and I thought that will help him, and it actually helped his itchiness stopped or reduced. So then I tried it on other dogs, and it didn't work. So I figured that one shampoo doesn't fit all sizes. So I kept making different shampoos, and so the whole idea was to create a basket of shampoos in the start, and then I wanted to create a brand out of it. So Zack has a habit of going for walks in gardens and parks, and he's actually an alpha guy, and people don't like to overtake him, and if he walks, he's like Dhoni. They walk behind him, or he's like a true captain. So Captain Zack came together as the name, and then that's how it was born. And eventually, Zack is basically, though he's alpha, he's a very cool guy. He's a very considerate guy, and he's very caring. And that's exactly what Captain Zack products into that bottle is. They're cool, they're considerate, and they're very caring for pets.
Yeah. And that also shows that the pet does take after the pet parent, right? With Zack's personality being so similar to yours.
My wife will probably agree with you because she thinks I'm alpha, but I'm not. I don't think I'm alpha.
Yeah.
But cool, caring, considerate.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I'm going to hog the limelight. I am.
Yeah.
Humble alpha.
Humble alpha.
Which Zack also is, you said.
With Zack also, yes.
Lovely. But it wasn't just Zack, because I remember when we started working, we saw the brand guidelines, and it was the entire family. So it was Zack and all of his buddies were there. So what was the thought behind that?
So some of Zack's buddies are just names, but the real one was Zoe, which is the cat range. She also passed away about a year before Zack, and Zack was depressed for about a few months when she passed away. Yeah. So people don't know how dogs and cats live together. Come to my house. I've got 5 cats and 2 dogs. Even now, we've had 10 at the highest point. I wanted to have all my characters of all the names there, but then I just thought it becomes too much. I'm pushing down my entire family of pets, but Zack and Zoe have been the stars.
Yeah.
And again, the reason why we've kept names and a bunch of buddies is because we wanted to make it like a comic character.
Yeah.
It'll be like a story.
Yeah.
And actually, the character of Captain Zack is basically built on a story of Courage the Cowardly Dog, which comes on.
Lovely.
It's been about 40-50 years old.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very cute story, and by seeing the character, you can tell what the product will do.
Nice, yeah. So a lot of visual subconscious cues also develop from the whole branding thing. Lovely. And something that we picked up when we were kind of watching you and learning from you, as much as doing work for Captain Zack, we're also learning so much from you. And we, picked up how involved you were in the business. Maybe obsessive is the wrong word, but you were almost obsessed with each aspect of it. It was not just the product or experimenting with the product and finding the right kind of the product mix. But it was also like with customer service, with content, how the brand speaks, how the brand talks, even all the little events. Like I remember there were events happening around the country, and you would make it a point to go to most of these to actually interact with people. So I think that was a really cool learning for us. But what makes that, like, why do you do that? Why do you have to get involved with absolutely every aspect of it?
My wife will laugh at me because she doesn't understand how I think, but it's true.
Yeah.
I do believe that prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that, when you have a pet, you don't even know, you can't understand the language, they're not talking. So I wanted to, talk, when I launched this brand, when it became, from a product, it started becoming into a brand.
Yeah.
I felt that it's important for me to talk to pet parents, or rather to talk to dog owners, make them a pet parent. So, the difference between dog owner and pet parent is you own a dog and I'm a parent to a pet.
Yeah.
So that transition was for me to explain to the pet parent that you have to prevent your pet to go to a vet, and 90% of the times you do take your pet to a vet is because of hair and skin topical issues, right?
Yeah.
So if you prevent your pet from going to the vet, you don't have to get to cure, and your pet can live longer. So healthy pets live longer, and that's true because they have like 10 or 12 years of age with you. That's it.
Yeah.
So my whole objective was to interact with people, explain to them the reason why I've launched this, and please trust me, I'm the guy right here. You mentioned that I go to most of the events, not most, each and every event I went to myself.
Yeah.
COVID was a blessing for me, not because my sales became quadruple, because I had the customer's cell phone with me in my house. And even during COVID, I took every call, every message. And honestly speaking, if I see right now, if one of the pet parents I've converted from a dog owner to a pet parent is seeing this podcast right now, they will actually have a smile on their face because they will realize that they've interacted with me, they know who I am, and they have obviously benefited if they use Captain Zack, which they have.
Yeah, and
that's pretty interesting because, Mohit, if you look at it from a pattern recognition point of view, the way you're talking about your company is very similar to how you're talking about your pet. Like you're treating them with so much love and care.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there are a lot of parallels that you draw from actually being a pet parent versus being an entrepreneur and taking care of your baby in each case?
Yeah, there are a lot of parallels because sometimes what happens is that the most important parallel that I feel in comparison with your routine life is that you have to understand that there are people around you, and if you have to be humble. So Zack was humble, and I think Zack's humble character was encompassing everything that I put in the brand. Now I feel that had Zack he was alpha, had he been more aggressive, you would have been. So the parallel that I do from this is basically I felt that it made me more humble as a person. When I was actually talking to pet parents and trying to explain to them, and I think it made, like I said, dog owner being converted to pet parent, and actually people have said that, thank you, I'm now a parent to my pet.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important lesson that I learned from this.
Yeah.
Lovely. And you recently sold Captain Zack to Wiggles. So how did that happen? Like how does someone even come around to this? Like, did someone from Wiggles, had they been following your journey and they called you and told you, hey, we've been keeping an eye out and we think Captain Zack is doing great work, you built a great community, we'd love to buy the brand, or did you end up wooing them? How did it start firstly?
So, I raised capital for Captain Zack pre-revenue, which was zero sale, not one bottle sold, and I got investment on board. Before that, I ran a beauty care brand called Cocoon, and I put my own money into it, and it was it's not an easy journey when you are a founder, entrepreneur of a consumer goods brand, right?
Yeah.
So I did learn, I call it learn, burn, earn. In that, thing, you always, what comes first is you always burn, then you learn, and only then can you earn, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't get to the earning phase in Cocoon, sadly, even though I've spent my years in beauty care. But in Captain Zack, I think I reached a point where I could earn. And I felt that, so I raised capital. I had very good investors on board. They were fantastic. I had a very nice, board of directors and on my cap table. So everything went off well. We kept needing more and more cash, and you keep needing more and more investments. And I felt that I ran the brand to the point, I think you mentioned, Karthik and Rehan, that the word obsessive. I think I was too obsessive, right? And I think when you have to also be practical at times, and it's a business more than just a pet brand or more than just dogs and cats. So I did have a great opportunity. I cannot name that person, but very well-known brand in India, very well-known corporate setup in India that approached me to buy the entire brand out. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. And I said no, and then I thought to myself that why am I saying no? I should not be depriving Captain Zack of growth because I want to convert more dog owners into pet parents, and the only way I can do it is with a lot of guidance around me.
Yeah.
So a bigger brand was the right way to go rather than giving it to somebody who's just putting in money.
Yeah.
So I felt that a good partner like Wiggles was following us. That's true. They were looking at us. They wanted to come because see, Wiggles again doesn't have strength in the hygiene and grooming.
Yeah.
They are more medical. They're more cure.
Yeah.
They are food. And Captain Zack was
yeah.
prevention. So prevention and cure together for them was the right things.
So it was a good fit for them. But from your point of view, what is the decision-making point that you said, okay, I'm going to sell my company to Wiggles? Was it the money? Was it that you felt that you took Captain Zack to a certain level? Or was it a combination of the two?
It was not money because money, has never driven me in life. It's basically doing something for the pet parents. In this case, in my other companies also, it's money that comes and goes, but it's also what are you doing for people in life.
Yeah.
So I just felt that it needed another. And by the way, I'm still very much active. I am still the founder.
Okay.
Because founder the founder.
Yeah.
And I'm still active. When I say active, they still contact me. They still talk to me. I still talk to pet parents. I'm still very much with them. I'm on there, with them on the cap table as well.
Yeah.
So I'm very much involved, not operationally at all. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to have a bigger family to look after the brand.
Yeah.
So we reach out to more pet parents, and it was tough, but it was, I think, the most practical thing to do.
Yeah. And are you happy with your decision?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never unhappy with what I do in my life
Awesome.
because I can't look back in the past.
Yeah.
Lovely. And what else are you doing now? What does most of your day comprise?
So in most of my days, so I basically run a company called Mascot Spin Control, which you mentioned in the start, Rehan. So we are a joint venture between my company Mascot, which is about 35 years old, and a French company called Spin Control. And we test on humans for beauty care, skin care, hair care, makeup brands. We test on humans to prove that the product is working and it doesn't affect your skin.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, so all the big brands come to me and small brands as well come to get the products tested, and we certify that they're allowed to use this from our lab, right?
Yeah.
The funny thing is that animal testing has been banned since 2001, and so you can't test cosmetic products on animals. Pharma, of course, still exists.
Yeah.
So what happened? The conviction that I had about Captain Zack products working was actually I tested them on humans. So a pet product, a dog product, I'm going to say dog product, tested on humans with high pH. So more towards alkaline 6, pH of 6, because dogs and cats have got a higher pH, unlike us who got a pH of 5, 5.5, acidic pH humans.
Okay.
So we got hold of volunteers, who we call them volunteers for testing, and the pH was 6, and this product used on them. So it was fleas or barking up the tea tree shampoos of Captain Zack tested on humans on their hair and skin, and if it didn't irritate them, then it was kind of given that it won't affect a dog's skin as well.
In fact, I remember when you had experimented and started some of the treats. I remember you eating some of the treats
all
also.
the time,
and we had that on video. Shivam's on the other side, and I think Shivam also had that on video.
And forget that. So I mean, again, I keep saying my wife and also we are together as friends as well. But I did a funny trick. I had guests coming home, and I had these treats because they look like lavash or smaller pieces of lavash with hummus. And some people ate them. Obviously, I didn't serve it to somebody who eats veg because these are chicken treats, and they didn't know. So,
what did the wife say when she found out?
No, she knew it.
Okay,
she knew. She
was
allowed me to
acknowledged.
do it for about. She said, "Okay, let each one try it once, and then you take it off."
So you fed your guests dog food and they liked it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
That's awesome. And along with Mascot Spin Control, which of course you're the MD of, you also do a little bit of investing in pre-series with a few companies.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, how do you come across these companies? How do you help them?
Yeah. See, the reason I do a little bit of investments with cash as well as advisory investments as well is because I have always seen that this learn, burn, earn is very confusing. It's very fancy to say investors, funding, VCs, whatnot.
Yeah.
So you need to get smart capital. You don't need to get capital, right? So when you just get capital, you're not going to get the advice and you're going to burn that money very fast.
Yeah.
So you just burn, you don't even learn.
Yeah.
Forget about earn. So with me, it's the burn because you're taking my money, you're going to burn it because that's why I've given it to you. It's not there to keep it in the locker. But you also learn, right? And there's a chance that you might earn. If you earn, I earn. So I think I'm in the mid phase where I'm investing in companies because I want them to learn and hopefully earn. And so far it's been a good journey. I've got a lot of, I've done about 8-9 of these small investments where I've figured out, and this is again within my industry, because that's what I know.
Yeah.
So you keep saying burn, learn, earn. I think that's a very interesting take because there is that great Wolf of Wall Street quote, right? And it goes, you got to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
But I think the burn, learn, earn, it actually adds like a middle statement. So you have to spend money to learn and then make money. That
Correct.
learn is, I think, what most people forget because how glamorous this side comes across. But I think people like you and like us watching you and us seeing what you're doing, we know it's not that glamorous. Like you have to really get into the weeds and make sure that you're on top of absolutely everything.
And like exactly on that note, and Mohit, what you were saying earlier with seed capital, and there's a difference between smart money and dumb money, like we call it in the industry, right? And you were telling us off camera that you had dinner with one of the Shark Tank India judges recently.
Last night.
I feel like Shark Tank India has also changed a little bit about the perception of what strategic capital and investment can do for you. Two questions. One, are you a fan of Shark Tank India, and how do you think like the entrepreneurial movement in India is? Do you feel like that's happening because of the show a little bit?
Yeah, for sure it is. I'm a fan, but not of all the sharks, right? I'm a fan of few sharks. Anubhav Mittal, of course, is my very, very close friend. So I watch the show for him. I respect and admire his investments that he makes. He's very, very meticulous in that way. The reason why I'm a fan, I watch Shark Tank is because I've seen people coming from tier 2 cities, villages, pitching. So, I think it's the new India that's going to start talking more than just that 1% population. I have farmers, not farmers, my friends now. So I've got these guys calling because they know who I know, and so I've made friends with a lot of people who are from the villages, and 2 of them are farmers, in fact. And I've met them. One has flown down to, if he sees this podcast, he'll know, has met me as well. And I've given him guidance, and he's doing better in life today. Because he wanted to leave his farming and come to city. I said, what are you going to do? If your father's a farmer, and so are you, you have to, obviously, I'm not saying that you have to by default continue that, but that's your bread and butter, right? So don't jump into something because they're all getting enamored by, I might get this, I've got idea. See, who doesn't have an idea? The moment you're born, you have an idea. So you have to be practical as well. See, being a founder or entrepreneur, or rather more than founder, entrepreneur, is not easy. You can't learn entrepreneurship. It's either in or it's not there.
You have to swim in the deep end. You have to mess up. There will be wrong. There will be right.
So that's why this burn and learn is, the earn is very, very, it's not easy to earn.
And entrepreneurship is an up and down journey, and you've seen that with Captain Zack. If let's say you had a young entrepreneur coming to you who was exploring, let's take the farmer for example, who's saying, okay, I want to start my own business, I want to come to the city. What advice would you give to someone who wants to jump into entrepreneurship for the first time?
So the first thing I'd ask is that do you have dependents, and that's the question I ask always, that who are you doing this for? If you've got a roof on your head, you got your food from somebody, your father, mother, whoever, then take that plunge. Because, today your confirmed money is more important than just, playing around with your life. And a lot of people go through today, mental health is very important because it can, ruin your mental state of mind. So money is make or break for most people. And that's why many people think it's very easy. Most people that I know of, not most people, but a lot of these guys who come to me for advice, they're all doing 2 things, which is again bad. They have a side hustle, they have a job, and they're doing something on the side, which is what I don't advise them to do. Because you're not doing justice to one.
To either, in fact.
To either,
Okay.
It's true.
Interesting. And for any young entrepreneurs watching, what would you look for? Say, you said you take a punt on people very often, right? Because you are getting involved with companies at a very early stage in their life cycle. Which means it's not always about having like the best product, the best tech, the best processes. A lot of it depends on just the person, and entrepreneurship is that, right? Just the person's ability to be able to dig as deep as possible and scrape out what they have to. So what would if you have to bucket 2 or 3 things maybe that you look for in an entrepreneur or in their organization, what would that be?
So hunger with humility is what I would look at always, and I always put them to sometimes these 2 are so contrasting as well, because if you're hungry, you could also be obsessive, and aggressive. But you have to be humble as well. And I think that's something. See, I'm a poker player. I play Texas Hold'em poker all the time as well, right? And again, I've burnt a lot of money, right? I've learnt and now I'm earning. So when I play on the poker table, people say, oh God, this guy's coming with the shark, he's taking my money away. Why not? I've given it to you 10 years back, right?
But like exactly on that note, and one last question before we move on to the next segment, which I think you'll really enjoy because you like investing. But before we get there, entrepreneurship is also a lonely journey, right? Like Karthik and I have the privilege of working together as entrepreneurs, but a lot of entrepreneurs are either solopreneurs or they start alone. You've been in that boat a bunch of times. How difficult is it to do everything alone?
So, all the investments that I've got from various ventures of mine, and the people have always said that why don't you have a co-founder because you're all alone. And you guys are lucky because you're saying it happily. I'm sure you guys are together, happy together.
Yeah.
But I think, I'm also headstrong in my own way. Yeah. And I'm not saying that what I do is right, but I just believe that I'm not being used. And again, I became an entrepreneur, right, at a very young age and for decades on end. So for me, suddenly, and this venture capital money and investments and everything has started to come only the last 10, 12 years. Yeah. So in my mid 40s, I can't suddenly say, no, how can I, if it's fancy to have a co-founder, I can't suddenly produce one right now. Yeah. My co-founder is my wife actually. Yeah. Because when I go home, we do discuss things. So she is my co-founder, she's my bouncing board. I talk to her and she's my biggest critic and my biggest supporter.
All right, now Mohit, since you're a keen investor, Karthik and I have spent about half a day thinking of some amazing business ideas, and we would really like it if you could invest money, since you've made a lot of money from the Wiggles Captain Zack sale, right? So we're going to pick a few out. We don't know which one works, so we're just going to pick a few out from the chit, and whichever one works, we hope that you'll invest in it. So you can treat this like your buddy Anupam sitting. You can sit and ask us questions. All right. So our first business idea is called Bark Honk. Now Bark Honk replaces your car horn with your dog's bark.
So I think it's a very nice idea. Honestly speaking, it's a fun idea to invest in, but difficult to implement. And on a serious note, right? Because you can still try it out by having change the horn, because in India you're still going to honk no matter.
Correct.
30 years from now also you're still going to honk. So why not bring in a lovely dog honk?
Yeah. More lovable
honk.
Or even an aggressive one, if someone's not getting on my way and I go with an aggressive Doberman bark, that is moving much faster.
And then the beauty is that you can probably convert, dog haters into dog lovers also. They start loving that bark and then they get a dog home as well. Yeah. So it could be, you buy a car and get a dog free.
Nice. It's a great idea.
A real dog free.
Great. So I think we have one winning idea. Karthik, let's pitch the next one.
Pre-seed funding is on the cards. We'll have a conversation once we're done. So these chokers have been doing the trends, right? A lot of people are wearing the chokers, but we will call them collars for the sake of this conversation. But matching collars for dog and pet parent, for pet and pet parent.
That's an idea that's already been there and done that and not been really successful.
Okay.
I've got a few with me, not collar and pet, but so I've got night suits, 12 of my pets. It's a beautiful pajama suit, and it brings me so much happiness. So honestly speaking, any pet idea that you guys do come up with is always a good idea.
Thank you.
It brings a smile to your face.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to get the money still.
Great.
But I thought you were going to give us the money.
Not from me.
Oh. All right, we have another idea. This is a winner.
This should win.
This is called Pet Tinder.
It's a dating app for cats. It has nothing to do with Punjabis and Sardars, so it's not like Pet Tinder, but Tinder for pets.
Yeah. So you know something? When I launched Captain Zack in 2017, I parallelly launched a thing called Shadi.dog.
Okay.
It still belongs to me, that domain.
Does Anupam know about this?
Anupam knows about this. He knows about this. So Shadi.dog. And it was unimaginable. So this is a brilliant idea. Because people don't have the courage and guts to do it even now. But when I had that, my biggest caption in those days, I don't know if you remember that, but or before I met you guys, was there was a breed of a dog and his name was Google. Okay. And he was not able to find a match. So imagine Google can't find something, right? So I capitalized on that, and then I had really crazy activists coming and saying, shut it down, how can you do that? And indies are there and you're encouraging mating and all, but so it's a great idea. This is something I would honestly still invest in.
Yeah, and you have the domain and you already have Anupam's backing in doing this for humans.
Yes,
I feel like we'll have to invest now. He already has everything sorted. We'll need us for. And we'll get to the last one.
And our last one is oh god, this is not going to be nice with the activists, but dog tattoos.
You can't do that.
You can't do that. Yeah.
Because that's cruel.
Let's
Because
find
you
the
don't
intern
even-
that gave this idea and deal with them severely.
But thank you, Mohit. We're very glad that we have a couple of ideas that you're going to invest in.
And one that we could invest in.
Yeah.
And one that now we'll have to invest in. That's an unfortunate outcome, but it's a great idea, so I think we'll invest in it. If nothing else, so that Karthik and I can come with you and Anupam to Numa the next time you're having dinner over there. Okay, perfect. Now we're at the last round of this, which is going to be the rapid fire round.
Yeah.
So we're going to do quick questions, quick answers. Karthik, let's go. Time starts now.
Super. No thinking. One thing you love about being an entrepreneur.
Failing.
A competitor you love to hang out with.
Honestly, all. Because that's how you learn, right?
One thing you want to change in your life right now.
Not to fail.
One entrepreneur you look up to.
Very tough one to look up to, but honestly speaking, I think Anupam.
Look up, lovely. Your guilty pleasure.
Right now, hangover, drinking of last night.
This one could get you in hot water, but your favorite corporate gali.
Should I say it?
Yeah, you can.
Later.
Super. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mohit.
Actually, my favorite gali is donkey.
Donkey.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's corporate
nice.
also because it's not too aggressive.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not. It's not too much.
Yeah.
Donkey.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mohit. And we had a lovely time talking to you, and I'm sure the viewers have learned a lot from this, as have we. We've had a wonderful afternoon with you. And if there's just one piece of advice you could give to anyone who's running their company or as an entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, before we stop rolling, what would that be?
So again, if you remember what I said in this rapid fire round about failing, right? It's not fancy to fail. It's not good to fail. But if you don't fail, you will never be able to learn. And at some stage in your life, you have to realize that the moment you're stabilized in like mid-30s or like most entrepreneurs are not even 30, right? The new age entrepreneurs. At 35, 40 onwards, you want to be successful all your life. So for that, you have to have a few episodes of failing and learning.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Don't be afraid to fail at all. Because that's part of your journey.
Mohit Lalvani, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
you.
Karthik. Thank you a lot.